Now we'll practice some ankle tracking in a supine position. So lay down on your back with a neutral pelvis, knees bent and feet flat, and have a strap nearby. Take a breath here. And before we start the ankle tracking, reach your arms overhead along the floor. Stretch out those elbows, lengthen the rib cage, lengthen the abdomen. Let your pelvis be relaxed and heavy. Buttocks is relaxed. And then lasso your right foot with the strap and place the strap over the ball of the foot. And then kick your heel up towards the ceiling, but keep your knee a little bit bent. Elbows wide, shoulder blades sliding down the back, chest open. And now start to point and flex your foot, exploring the range of motion in the ankle here, flexing and extending the ankle. So press the ball of the foot up towards the ceiling, pressing into the strap, and then use your hands to help you pull the ball of the foot down, pulling that strap down. And then press the ball of the foot back up towards the ceiling and continue in this way. And as you dorsiflex your foot, pull the heel up towards the ceiling. And as you plantar flex the foot, press the ball of the foot up. Long spine, relaxed abdomen, relaxed buttocks here. And then release and place the right foot down. And now lasso the left foot with the strap, taking the strap over the left ball of the foot. And kick your left heel up, keeping your knee bent here. Long spine, elbows wide. And start to track your ankle here, flexing and extending at the ankle joint. Use your hands to pull the strap down into the ball of the foot as you lengthen the heel up. And then press the ball of the foot up towards the ceiling. Flexing and extending, exploring the range of motion of the ankle, creating more range of motion as you explore your current range of motion. Lubricating the ankle joint here. And then release and place your left foot down. And reach your arms overhead again to re-lengthen your trunk. Thighs are parallel. And then rest your arms by your sides. Now we'll practice Supta Padangusthasana. So lay down on your back and have a strap nearby, and release the flesh of the buttocks away from the lower back. Thighs are parallel, inner thighs and groins are relaxed, pelvis is heavy and relaxed, and stretch your arms overhead along the floor to lengthen the trunk, lengthen through the waist, the armpits, the abdomen, lengthen the front of your spine and stretch and extend your elbows. Open the hands and the feet. And then take your strap and place the strap over the right heel. And then start to stretch the left leg along the floor. Internally rotate the left thigh. Lengthen the spine headwards. Let the abdomen be relaxed and long. Elbows wide, shoulder blades sliding down the back. Kick your right heel up to open up the back of the right leg. Internally rotate at the very top of the left thigh and pull the right outer hip away from the right waist. So you can keep your right knee bent a little bit, that's fine. Just kick your right heel up so that you're feeling an elongation of the back of the right leg. Imagine the back of the right knee spreading and opening and lengthening. Breathe into the sensations here. Here you can imprint a long spine and an open chest even while you're stretching your hamstrings. And then bend your right knee, bend your left knee, both feet flat, stretch your arms overhead, neutralize and lengthen the trunk. Relaxed in the pelvis area. And then lasso the strap over your left heel and kick your left heel up towards the ceiling. Pull your left outer hip away from the left waist. And internally rotate the right thigh as you start to stretch your right leg long. Ground the right thigh bone down. Be long in both sides of your belly. Elbows wide, shoulders moving down towards the sticky mat. Kick the left heel up to spread open the back of the left knee. So the knee can stay bent, but energetically lengthen the left leg. Rolling the right thigh in, pulling the left outer hip away from the left waist, organizing the tissue and the bones and the muscles here as you stretch, creating order and length. And then bend both knees, feet flat, reach your arms up overhead. Parallel legs, relaxed in the groins. And now we'll practice Supta Padangusthasana 4. So have your strap nearby, extend your arms, extend your legs, roll the thighs inwards a little bit, ground the thighs. And then keep that sense of length in your trunk as you lasso the right heel, extend the right leg all the way up to the ceiling. And extend the left leg along the floor, long in the low belly, outer right hip moves away from the right waist. You can have a bent right knee here if that's better for you. Long spine. And then grab onto the strap with the left hand only and take your right hand onto the outer right thigh hip area. And see if you can pull that outer right thigh and hip area away from the right waist. And keep that happening as you extend the right arm out to the right and let the right leg move over to the left, just about a foot. So you're starting to cross the leg over towards the left side, keeping extended in that right knee, keeping long in the right waist. And then come back to center and we'll switch sides. Now lassoing the left heel, reach the left leg up, again bending the knee if that's better for you. And extend the right leg long, profound internal rotation at the very top of that right thigh to keep the groin relaxed. Long belly, long in the front of the spine, elbows wide, shoulder blades sliding down the back. And then grab onto the strap very close to the foot with the right hand only. And the left hand will come to the outer left hip and thigh, encouraging that outer left hip to move away from the left waist, staying long in the left waist. And extend your left arm out to the left as you pull the leg over to the right side, just about a foot. Stay open in the backs of the knees. Pulling that leg across the body, but not too much, so the sacrum should stay grounded. Enjoying the stretch in the outer thigh here. And then come back to center. And then release, bending both knees, feet flat. Reach your arms overhead and then stretch both your legs out, internally rotating at the tops of the thighs, lengthening through the arms, stretching the knees and the elbows. Now we'll practice downward facing dog with a chair at the wall. So place the back of your chair against the wall. Place your hands down on the front edge of the seat of the chair and then walk your feet back into a down dog position. And we want to avoid a curled spine and a tucked pelvis. So instead, bend your knees, lift your buttocks way up high, pull the buttocks back. Be long in your armpits, active in your arms, and release the head down. Now make your legs taller. Lift the thigh bones up into the hip sockets. Lift the buttocks and lengthen the backs of your legs. Keep your knees bent because that will help you keep the buttocks lifting. Pull the inner thighs back. Pull the outer hips back. Lift the hamstrings up to the buttock bones. Stretch open the backs of the legs, keeping the buttocks lifted. Pull the pelvis away from the press of the hands. And then lean forward into your hands and step one foot forward and then step the other foot forward. And now bring your sticky mat to the wall for a variation of Parshvottanasana. And step your left foot forward and right foot back. Hips are square, feet are hips distance apart. And then lift your arms and lengthen your waist up through the arms, through the fingertips. So there's a big lift of the low belly and a lift of the rib cage up. Continue to square your hips. The back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Lift up through the musculature of the legs and then hinge forward at the hips to bring your fingertips to the wall. And walk your fingertips up the wall to get longer. Pull your hips back. Engage the musculature of the legs so that the muscles of the legs lift up from ankles to knees to hips. Think of the outer left hip pulling back and think of squeezing the outer hips towards each other. And let your head release down. And then push your fingertips off the wall to come all the way up to center. Exhale your arms out to the sides and down. Hands to hips. And then come to the other side, taking the right foot forward and left foot back. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle, hips are square, musculature of the legs are engaged. And lift the arms all the way up, lengthening the waist up, lift the rib cage three-dimensionally up off of the abdomen, off of the lower back. Extended arms, open hands. Draw the muscles of the legs up from ankles to knees to hips. And then hinge at the hips to take the fingertips to the wall and walk those fingertips up the wall as you pull your pelvis back. Extended arms and legs here. Long in the trunk, long spine. Let your head release down and think of pinning your outer hips, gathering them in towards the midline. Pull that outer right hip back even more. Stay very active in your legs here. And then push off the wall to come back to center, lengthening the arms. And exhale, release the arms out to the sides and down. Hands to hips. And step your feet together. And come to the wall now for a Prasarita dog with wall support. So set up your sticky mat so the long part of the mat is against the wall. And step your feet wide, heels wider than toes. Hands on hips to start, and then stretch your arms wide. And stand a few inches away from the wall so there's room for your buttocks back there. Hands on hips, and then bend your knees and start to hinge forward at the hips and take your hands to the blocks. Now bend your knees a lot and lift your buttocks way up high and slide your buttocks up the wall. So make sure your feet are not too close to the wall. If you need to, you can walk your feet forward slightly. And then with hands on blocks, start to slide the blocks forwards so your trunk comes into a down dog position. Let your chest release down towards the wall that you're looking at. And let the arms stretch and let the blocks slide forward. And let the buttocks lift up the wall. And let the thoracic spine deepen into the body towards the chest. Let the front of your trunk be very long here. Breathe smoothly here. Breathe into the sensations and the stretches. And then slide the blocks back as you stretch the rib cage forward. Walk your feet in slightly. Bend your knees, hands to hips, shoulders back, chest open as you come all the way up to stand. And step your feet together. Now we'll practice a calf stretch in Uttanasana. So have 2 blocks ready. And start to roll up your blanket. So make a nice even blanket roll here, a tight roll. And place the blanket roll onto the sticky mat horizontally as you see here. And then with your feet hip distance apart, step the balls of the feet up onto the blanket roll. So the heels are grounded on the sticky mat and the balls of the feet and the toes are up, they're elevated. And then take your hands to your outer hips, shoulders back, long spine. And then bend your knees and crease at the hips to fold, taking your rib cage close to your thighs at first. And just rest in a forward bend here. Now, hands on blocks, folding deeply. And you can play with how much you bend your knees. So straighter legs will give you a different stretch than bent knees. And both are good. So play with that here. And take many breaths here to breathe into and stretch different fascial lines in the calves, in the backs of the knees. Bending the knees a little more or a little less, and then breathing into whatever position you choose. And if your hands reach the floor, then you can place the blocks to the side. And come forward a little more onto your hands, taking the weight forward. That will deepen the stretch. Walking those hands or fingers a little bit further forward. Pull the inner heels down, grounding the center heels down. Steady breath here, breathing into the sensations that arise. Long spine here. And then hands to hips. Shoulders back, reach your chest forward to come all the way up. And then step off the blanket. Now we'll practice Ardha Uttanasana. So have 2 blocks in front of you at shoulder distance apart. Stand with your feet at hip distance apart. Thigh bones rolling in, thigh bones back. Feet are awake. Lift your spine. And then exhale and bend your knees, crease at the hips to fold forward and take your hands to the blocks. What you don't want to do is curl your spine and tuck your pelvis here, but rather bend your knees, lift your buttocks, stretch the bottom front ribs forwards, elongate through the elbows, and then maintaining this position in the pelvis with the buttocks lifting and spreading. See how much you can stretch and lengthen the backs of the legs. See how much you can open the backs of the knees. Stay grounded in the inner feet. Stretch the chest forward because there's a lengthening happening from deep inside the trunk. Breathe here. And then exhale, take your hands down to the floor, bend your knees deeper, and release your trunk all the way down, head relaxing and releasing. And then bring your hands to your outer hips, stretch your chest forward, shoulders back, and come all the way up to stand. Now we'll practice heel on the chair pose. So stand in front of the chair and place your left heel onto the chair seat. Hands on hips, and make sure that your right thigh isn't sitting forward, but rather pull the right thigh back and pull the left thigh back into the hip socket, and then lift the low belly up off the pelvis and continue ascending the trunk from bottom to top, lifting the belly and the rib cage, and then stretch your arms overhead. Be strong in those arms, stretching the hands open, thumbs pull back, shoulder blades snuggle in, and think of gathering the outer body in as you press the right thigh back. So the front of the right thigh pulls back towards the back of the leg. Stretch through the left leg and pull the left thigh bone back into the hip socket. Standing nice and tall, and then exhale, release the arms out to the sides and down, and we'll switch sides. So take your right heel up onto this chair seat now. Hands on hips. Lift the low belly. Pull the front of the left thigh back so that you're really standing over the left arch, and there's no sitting forward at all. Pull the right thigh back into the hip socket. Lift the belly, lift the side ribs, front ribs, back ribs. Stretch up through the waist, the armpits, the arms, open hands, thumbs reaching back, shoulder blades snuggling into the rib cage. Left thigh bone back. Make sure you're internally rotated at the very tops of the thighs. Squeeze your outer hips into the midline. Gather the outer body in and get taller. Breathing here as you balance. And then exhale and release your arms down and stand on 2 feet. Now we'll practice Paschimottanasana with a chair. So have a seat on the edge of the chair seat and adjust the flesh of your buttocks so that you can sit on the front of the sitting bones. And then extend your legs out so that your heels will come forward a little bit. Open feet, open toes, hands on the chair seat behind you to lift and open the chest. Lift the entire spine, each vertebrae lifting off of the one that's underneath it, shoulders back. And then start to hinge at the hips to come forward and grab onto the outer edges of the feet. You can have bent knees here. If that's easier for you, that's fine. If you have tight hamstrings, then bent knees will be a good idea. Elbows lifting, lengthening the trunk forward towards the toenails. No hardening in the belly or the throat here. So the belly recedes and lengthens. The back of the throat is open. The legs are active and engaged, whether the knees are bent or straight. And you elongate the trunk forward towards the feet. Enjoy the nice incline that the chair provides. Let gravity help you here. And then start to lift up out of the pose, taking the hands to the chair seat, shoulders back. Bend your knees and feet flat. Hands resting on thighs and pause. Now we'll practice a foot stretch. So come onto your hands and knees. And bring your knees and shins and ankles together, and then tuck your toes under and bring some weight back towards your feet. So there's some weight on your toes. And then back your hips up all the way so that you're sitting on your heels. Have your arms extended by your sides and lift the spine from bottom to top and think of the soles of the feet spreading. Pulling the heels back, sitting the hips right down on the heels. Enjoy the stretch in the feet and the toes. Steady focus here, steady breathing. Gather your ankles towards each other. Give a little squeeze of the outer hips towards each other. And then come on to hands and knees and release. Now we'll practice a supported fish with a bolster underneath the rib cage and have a strap nearby for your hands. So lay back so the bolster supports you underneath your thoracic spine. Release the flesh of the buttocks away from the lower back, away from the back ribs. Knees bent and feet flat to support you, and then grab your strap and reach your arms up and overhead, hands holding the strap at shoulder distance apart. Enjoy this nice extension of the spine as you lengthen through the front of the spine and lengthen the abdomen, and then extend your legs. Stretch the legs and stretch the arms. Allow yourself to be supported by the bolster here. Become internally absorbed here. As you relax and release and gently guide yourself to lengthen a little more. Smooth and steady inhalation and a steady exhalation. And then bend your knees one at a time, place your feet flat, and roll to your side. Pass through your side to come out of the pose, coming on up to sit. We'll complete this practice with chair shavasana. Put the chair on your sticky mat and sit down close to the front of the chair, and then swing your legs up onto the chair and lay down. And please adjust the flesh of your buttocks to pull the flesh of your buttocks away from your low back. And then adjust the shoulders so your shoulder blades are settled nicely down your back, and let the arms relax. Let the legs be supported by the chair. Let the lower back be supported by the floor. And let your whole body relax and release down. Smooth and steady your breathing here.